Hello, I'm Demi Utley, the founder here at Utley Strategies, and this is our final video on winning government RFPs. If you haven't watched the first 3 videos in the series, then make sure you head on over to check those out. Today, I'm covering the key steps that nearly every organization follows when they're responding to government RFPs. Incorporating and planning for these steps will help you to be more efficient and effective overall with your process. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. The first step to winning government RFPs, of course, is to actually find those RFPs. Fortunately, they're much easier to find the government RFPs than in some other sectors where they're not publicly available. So there are many places that you can find these RFPs, though of course the best approach is to have a relationship established with the agency or the buyer, so that way they notify you when the RFP is released. But you can also search on, databases that are procurement sites that have all of these government RFPs listed. You can also check on the agency's website. They'll often have a procurement page where you can go and see what is available currently. And then you can use all of these to find opportunities that are a good fit for your business. So once you find your government RFPs, the next step is to review all of those bid documents. So when you do that, you're going to go through and try to determine how exactly the proposals are going to be evaluated, as we talked about in the first video. You're going to look for the submission deadlines, any requirements they have, like technical, if they want physical hard copies, things like that. And that's going to help you to decide if this is an opportunity worth pursuing. The next stage is to determine if you actually do want to respond. So this is where your go, no go process is going to come in. So this is something you want to decide as quickly as possible, because a lot of times RFPs, of course, have really tight deadlines. So you want to decide this so that you have enough time to create a good, compelling proposal. So ideally you go through and you have some sort of scoring process in place that's going to help you to provide a more streamlined and often unbiased approach to deciding if this proposal and this RFP is a good fit for your organization. So once you decide that the RFP is a good fit for you, then the next plan is to develop an actual plan for how you're going to create your proposal with key deadlines. So if possible, you're going to assign someone to be a proposal manager who's going to project manage the proposal creation to ensure that all the requirements are met, that you're compliant, and that the content is actually advancing according to schedule. If you do not have a proposal manager, then of course assign someone else who can be responsible, so that way you don't miss anything or have anything slip through the cracks. So when you're working on this schedule, make sure that you're working backwards, because you'll often find that there's not as much time as you thought there was once you go through and you map out everything according to that RFP deadline. If you're in doubt, then assume that it's probably going to take a little bit longer than you expected. So bake in a few buffer days at key points in the process to make sure that you're covered. With a plan in place, it's time to actually start writing your proposal. So if you have a team of proposal writers, then they will lead this part, of course. If not, then it's time to start assigning key sections to relevant team members. So that way you have all of the sections accounted for and someone dedicated to creating that response. No matter how many people are involved or who's the lead, make sure that you always create a cohesive single voice for your proposal, so it doesn't read like a bunch of different people wrote each section in your document. When the near final draft is ready, then it's time to have a final review. So this might be something as formal as a full red team, if you're familiar with the Shipley process, or it might be something as simple as just going through and rereading your proposal to make sure that it makes sense. Either way, make sure that you always conduct some sort of final read-through to make sure that you're not missing anything. And if possible, have someone else read through it who is not familiar with the proposal, because they're more likely to catch a mistake. And you could also hire an editor who can professionally review to make sure you don't have any typos or confusing language and things like that. With the review complete, it's time for you to actually go through and submit your proposal. So every RFP is going to be different for how they want to receive your proposal. So make sure you're reviewing and following those requirements exactly. Some organizations do still require hard copies, which is crazy, I know, but they might require something like 1 original and 20 copies, and that just means you have to send those in. But fortunately, many organizations nowadays are actually using electronic submissions, so you might be able to send an email or upload your proposal to a portal. Always check the RFP, because that's where they're going to detail it. You also might be asked to submit pricing separately. So it's best to know this in advance, so that way you can plan, because if you do have to separate out pricing or if you do have to print, that should be accounted for within your schedule. Once the proposal is submitted, then it's time to celebrate. But after you celebrate, make sure you're prepared for any sort of negotiation. You may be invited to maybe give a presentation on your solution, or you might be asked to go ahead and move straight to contract negotiations. You might even be asked to submit a best and final offer. It really depends on the organization and what it is that they require. But always keep in mind that once you send in the proposal, it might not be the final step and there might still be some more work for you to do. Win or lose, requesting a debrief can help you to learn better what to do next time. So many organizations they often will release bid tabulations. Sometimes you have to ask for it. And that can help you to compare how you scored against other companies who bid in each of the categories. Whether they release it or not, you can still ask to have a meeting to figure out, okay, well, what can we do better to improve next time? How was our proposal received and all of that? And then you can use that information to go and actually improve your sales and proposal process going forward. The final step in the process is to make sure that you are trying and trying again. So even the largest organizations and your top competitors frequently lose proposals. So don't be discouraged if you lose the first RFP that you respond to. RFPs are highly competitive and they can be very rewarding for your business, but unfortunately, the only way to go through and win those contracts is to create a winning proposal. And sometimes that can be a lot of work and it can take a little bit more time than you anticipated. You can, of course, always bring in help to help you figure out what you can do to improve, but a lot of times it's just going through the process and making sure you have a sound strategy so that way you are prepared when the best opportunity is available to you. Okay, so that's all that I had for our Winning Government RFPs series. If you'd like a little bit more help with responding to RFPs, then I invite you to check out some of our courses that are available, all of which are geared to RFPs. We do have RFPs 101, which is an introduction if you're not familiar with how to actually review RFPs and navigate those. That has some good, helpful resources for you as well. Persuasive Proposals is one of our top courses that's all focused on you're creating your competitive strategy and actually writing the content with templates for different sections and things like that. So it's great if you want to improve your writing. And then we have some other courses on, strategy, executive summaries, you're creating your differentiators, things like that. So just check out the links below. Hopefully I'll see you inside one of the courses. But in the meantime, make sure you go ahead and subscribe so you're notified of future videos, and I'll see you next time.